Well, we want to welcome you into this week's edition of the Weather Hangout, and this is actually a special edition. It is now when we're filming this Severe Weather Awareness Week. We'll be talking about all things severe weather and how you can stay prepared for it.
Yeah. That means it's the first week of spring also. Happy spring, everyone. It's good to have that new season finally here, even though, you know, Mother Nature's brought some spring weather throughout the winter, but we're going to prepare you for spring as well as severe weather in particular this week.
Yes, we're going to be talking about a lot of things as far as severe weather, spring, of course, and even earlier today, of course, we record these on a Wednesday, so we also had the statewide tornado drill for Ohio and Michigan today. So just, you know, kind of that reminder that anytime, anywhere, we always have to be weather aware. So that's why we use this week to make sure we're prepared and ready as the season's going to be a little bit busier, a little more active. Of course, we'll always make sure that you stay one step ahead with that WTOL 11 weather forecast. So Matt, we have a lot to go through here in the next little bit. What are some of the topics that we'll be covering?
Yeah, so some of the topics we'll be covering is severe weather myth busters. John, you'll be covering some along with allergies as well. And then Chris will be deep diving into some of the history of severe weather in Northwest Ohio. Also got a special guest coming along that's not a familiar face too much on the Weather Hangout, and that's meteorologist Ryan Weekman.
So yeah, excited to see. Of course, we've all been working hard getting these stories put together for you. And of course, like I said, to make sure you're prepared. Of course, we are on YouTube, WTOL 11+. So if you're catching it, make sure you tell your family and friends, hey, I learned some great weather stuff to help you prepare for the season. So make sure that they don't miss out on this good information as well. Now, Matt, we do have a lot of these stories to get started with. So do you know who's coming our way first, or should we just stay tuned to see who's going to be taking turns here?
Yeah, we should probably stay tuned. We'll keep it a surprise on who you'll see first. But yeah, you'll definitely know this face for the first story we'll see. But before that, enjoy this quick weather fun fact.
When we think spring and severe weather season, there's a few thoughts which may come to mind, from the dark skies, the rolling thunder, perhaps even tornadoes. But what type of severe weather is the most common and damaging each year? I thought it'd be interesting to kind of rank these. So let's start off with number 3 here, and that is tornadoes. The fact is, while twisters can be scary, of course, we don't have many touchdowns each year, averaging about 3 or 4. Most are short-lived and rated on the weakest Fujita scale, EF0. A healthy respect, of course, must be given to the roughly once-a-decade tornado outbreak, which can be devastating in our area. That was number 3. How about number 2? That would be springtime flooding. And most springs, our rivers swell between the melting snow and occasional heavy rain. When these rivers spill out of their banks, the results can be bad for those living alongside of it. But the most common type of flooding locally is damage done to basements and crops in our fields, like in spring of 2019, when constant heavy rains completely prevented the planting season across a large part of our area. So we've done number 3, number 2. How about number 1? What is the most damaging type of severe weather season? That would be the wind. We sit right in the crosshairs of one of the most favored damaging wind corridors in the United States. When high pressure builds across the central U.S., the path is laid for thunderstorms to develop and rake across northwest Ohio and southeastern Michigan. Now, microbursts can create localized intense damage, but it's derechos, the squall lines, which are to be monitored closest, sometimes creating swaths of damage hundreds of miles long. Consistently, each year, damage from strong winds generated by thunderstorms create the most widespread and costly damage each year. Now, that's our list, but I thought I'd give an honorable mention to lightning, something that's often a little understated here. Each year, tens of thousands of lightning strikes occur in the skies above our area. Aside from the obvious danger if you're caught outside, these strikes do damage sometimes to homes, and each year, several house fires in our area are attributed to these bolts. As we prepare for this year's severe weather season, you now know which types of severe weather are most likely to be dangerous. We here in the WTOL 11 Weather Center will be on the lookout for all of them to keep you prepared and ready before they strike. I'm meteorologist Ryan Weekman.
To many, that's the sound of a tornado siren, but it's actually the sound of an outdoor warning siren. That loud, long, and steady noise could be alerting you for more than tornadoes.
There are no standards. There's no national standards, there's no state standards. It is just kind of up to whatever the county has adopted.
Not only are communities not required to sound them, but they are not even required to have outdoor warning sirens.
Outdoor warning sirens are kind of like a carryover from the old civil defense, the air raid sirens. And then they kind of realized that, we're not getting, having air raids all the time, but we can use them for other things. So they kind of adopted we can use them as outdoor warning sirens.
Decades ago, homes did not have the insulation or air conditioning like we have today, making the sirens difficult to hear indoors.
The key to outdoor warning sirens is in its name. It's an outdoor warning siren.
Whether you were out playing a sport or camping, if you hear the uninterrupted tone, head indoors.
They think they're tornado sirens, and they're really outdoor warning sirens. What they're designed to do is, if you hear a siren, you go to the media, you turn on channel 11, and see what's going on, and and that's where you get your information.
While traveling, the outdoor warning sirens could sound for other reasons besides a tornado.
They're going to be based kind of on what the hazards of that area might be. For us, it typically is weather and the nuclear plants is kind of the big things for us.
With lack of standards for outdoor warning sirens, make sure to stay alert with the WTOL 11 weather app and WTOL 11 on air and online for the latest information. Reporting in studio, meteorologist Diane Phillips.
Welcome to Severe Weather Mythbusters. The severe weather season can be a little bit of an uncomfortable feeling when it comes to all the natural disasters we see during the winter months. In order to stay safe, some may look up ways to reduce the blow during the severe weather season. But some ways to stay safe are not always true. I'm meteorologist Matt Willoughby, and I'll break down the top 5 myths during the severe weather season. We're starting off with myth number 1. Does a warm winter set up a busy severe weather season? Well, the warm winter seasons, at least on vice versa, when it comes to warm air early in the season or lasting through the winter could foster more severe weather in parts of the Midwest and Central and even the Northern Plains states as well. If the temperatures in March, for example, are more typical of April, then we would expect April-like severe weather chances. Remember, the weather does not have a calendar. This warm air could also power more severe weather and potentially stronger storms in the south during the cooler months of at least the spring months. That brings us to myth number 1. Now, let's go to myth number 2. Is it true that rubber-sole shoes protect you from lightning? Well, rubber-sole shoes and rubber tires do not give you any more protection from lightning, but you are safe inside a car because of its metal frame, not because of the rubber tires or somehow insulating you, so you should always take shelter during a frequent lightning event. Myth number 3, at least myth number 2 is for us right now. At least as we go into myth number 3, well, thunderstorms and tornadoes always move from west to east. That is in fact myth number 3. More often than not, thunderstorms move from west to east, and conditions in the atmosphere dictate how and where storms will move, and it can be any direction actually. Tornadoes have been known to be erratic and can change directions and speed very quickly, so never try to outrun a tornado in a vehicle. Myth number 4, Flash floods can only occur along flowing streams. That is, in fact, myth number 4. Flash floods can and do occur in dry creeks or riverbeds, as well as urban areas where no streams are in fact present. So make sure you're careful with those flood-prone areas throughout your severe weather season. As we go into myth number 5, which is the most popular one, tornadoes cannot go into downtown or populated areas. Many cities in the U.S. have been directly hit by tornadoes in recent years, including Miami, Salt Lake City, Birmingham, Oklahoma City, Houston, Fort Worth, Nashville, Joplin, Missouri, being the most famous one. Tornadoes are typically 5 to 10 miles tall. A tall building with a height of 500 to 1,000 feet, which is the height of the Empire State Building, cannot deflect or destroy a tornado, and that makes that myth 5. You can find all of these myths on our WTOL website and also on WTOL Plus and YouTube as we go throughout our severe weather season. I'm meteorologist Matt Willoughby, reporting in studio.
Spring is officially here, and with the warmer weather, longer days, and brighter skies comes a host of seasonal allergies.
Generally speaking, it's trees in the spring, grasses in the summer, and weeds in the fall, but there's quite a bit of overlap there.
Spring allergies often begin in March, peaking in April and May. This coincides with the spring bloom. ProMedica allergist Dr. Avram Darrow explains.
The trees that cause allergies aren't necessarily the ones with the big, bright, pretty flowers, because those tend to be pollinated by insects, but if those are blooming, then trees are blooming.
An early bloom can mean a quick start to the allergy season. This year's historically early spring bloom, caused in part by climate change, has already aggravated allergies in mid-March. So what can you do to keep the spring allergies at bay?
We usually would recommend keeping windows closed during high pollen seasons, using your air conditioner, heat, or air purifiers in your home.
While safeguarding your home from spring allergens can help minimize symptoms, what if you want to enjoy some outdoor time in the beautiful spring weather?
And then if you are going to be outside, which of course we want people to be outside, but kids playing or adults gardening outside should probably change their clothes and bathe before they go to bed. And definitely don't sleep in the same clothes that you were playing outside in, because you're bringing all that pollen into bed with you.
Spring allergies are an inevitable part of the season, and fluctuations in the weather can worsen your symptoms.
People can notice that their noses or airways in general can be irritated by things that aren't necessarily allergic, but things like changes in temperature, changes in humidity or pressure.
With the erratic ups and downs of spring weather that often feel like a roller coaster, the ideal weather conditions are often somewhere in the middle.
High humidity can lead to mold spores and dust mite thriving in your environment. Low humidity can be irritating to the airways in general because of drying, so it's sometimes about finding a balance.
With the spring allergy season already off to an early start, this year may cause more severe allergies than normal. Whatever weather Mother Nature has in store for the season, the WTOL 11 weather team will keep you updated. Reporting in Maumee, John Burchfield, WTOL 11.
Well, as we enter into the spring season, we have a heightened sense of concern for the risk of severe weather. Tornado season in Ohio swings into full gear into April, May, and eventually peaking in June. While rare, violent tornadoes have left their mark on Ohio over the past many decades. For many, the impact from a violent tornado will forever etch into the minds and memory. Examples of this include the super tornado outbreak on April 3rd and 4th of 1974, which did include the Xenia, Ohio tornado that directly resulted in 32 fatalities. Or, more locally, right here in the Toledo area, the Palm Sunday tornado of April 11th, 1965. Now, over the decades, WTOL 11 has chronicled these historic weather events. Right now on YouTube, you could check out our special WTOL 11 Vault. You can view former Chief Meteorologist Robert Shields, his perspective from the 1997 weather special, Dark Skies Looming. This highlights both the Xenia and Palm Sunday historic tornado outbreaks with first-hand accounts of the carnage and devastation.
The Hamilton County Elmwood Police Chief. This is a disaster area. There are live Cincinnati and we need help.
Weather Bureau meteorologists tracked the storm as it rumbled north toward Dayton and then veered east, taking aim on Xenia.
Here's a weather bulletin from WHI.
Viewers watching Dayton's Channel 7 got a last-minute warning.
This storm is severe, a massive storm. The track indicated by the hook in our radar screen is now moving into the city of Xenia. Persons in the city of Xenia should take cover immediately.
A very familiar voice there. If you want to hear more from former Chief Meteorologist Robert Shields, you could check that out. You could search WTOL 11 Vault on YouTube to see more on this special that originally aired on WTOL 11 over 25 years ago. Reporting, Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers.
A lot of great stories there and a nice wide variety. I know it's always great to have those refreshers because we can, well, maybe not this year, we didn't really get lost in the snow, but sometimes, you know, we get a little bit rusty. So I'm glad that we do this here in March to where everybody can be prepared and ready for the season.
Yeah, it'll be here before you know it, talking both about the severe weather element as well as some of those pesky things like the allergies, which some of us already starting to feel the sniffles.
They always get to me, the allergies in the spring season. But yeah, definitely a lot of helpful information that you sat down with the doctor, with him, John. So.
Yeah, and good to talk about the myth busting as well. That's always cool to test your knowledge of the severe weather, and the history is always interesting, especially for those folks who have lived in this area for their whole lives and maybe they have family roots here, looking back at the Palm Sunday outbreak as well as some of those historical weather makers throughout the years.
Yeah, and of course, if you want to see these again, you can just hit that rewind button conveniently. Of course, you can also catch those individually on YouTube, and also our Weather Hangout is on YouTube, plus WTOL 11 Plus. You can catch it there. A lot of pluses in there these days with the streaming world. But of course, you can always connect with the WTOL 11 weather team online and get the latest information as that forecast rolls in when we do start to see some of those spring and summer thunderstorms. But of course, this is a pretty good prep, and of course, have the WTOL 11 weather app to get all of that latest information as well. Is there anything we forgot as far as getting all the info that we need?
No, I think we definitely covered it. Yeah, and we'll be, of course, if we do have any severe weather within this upcoming season, you can catch that right here as well. We'll be breaking down in-depth versions of any alert days that we'll have in the horizon and any severe weather we have as well.
Yep, spring has sprung. Hope you have a good one, and thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next Wednesday.